Let's start with a simple equation: your paycheck minus your rent. On paper, it should be straightforward. You work hard, you get paid, you pay your bills, and you have enough left over to live your life. But for millions of young adults today, that equation doesn't add up. Instead, it feels like you're stuck solving a math problem with no right answer, no matter how many times you check your calculations. If the answer is barely enough for a sandwich, or worse, negative, you're not alone. Every month after the rent is paid, you're left staring at your bank account, wondering how you'll stretch what's left to cover groceries, transportation, and maybe, just maybe, a little fun. The reality is, for many, there's nothing left to stretch. It's not just a bad month, it's every month. Social plans get canceled, dreams of travel or saving for the future are put on hold, and even small luxuries start to feel out of reach. The pressure to make ends meet is relentless, and it chips away at your sense of security and hope. This isn't about budgeting mistakes or fancy coffees. It's not about skipping avocado toast or cutting out your favorite latte. The problem runs much deeper than personal spending habits. It's about a system that's stacked against you, where the cost of simply existing keeps rising, but your paycheck can't keep up. It's a systemic failure. The promise that hard work equals a roof over your head has been broken. The old rules don't apply anymore. You can do everything right, follow every piece of advice, and still find yourself struggling to afford the basics. For Gen Z, this is reality. You did everything right, got the degree, landed the job, yet your paycheck feels like a joke. The diploma that was supposed to open doors now feels like a receipt for debt, and the entry-level job barely covers the entry fee to adulthood. You can be responsible and still be priced out of your own city. The places you grew up in, the neighborhoods you love, are suddenly out of reach. Even with roommates, side hustles, and strict budgets, the numbers just don't work. The numbers just don't add up, and no amount of saving more will fix it. You can cut corners, skip meals, and say no to every invitation, but the gap between what you earn and what you need keeps growing. Advice from older generations, just save, just work harder, feels completely disconnected. They grew up in a different world, where rent was a fraction of your income and a single job could support a family. Today, those words sound hollow, almost naive. It's easy to feel like you're falling behind, especially when social media is filled with stories of success and highlight reels. But behind the filters, so many are quietly fighting the same battle, trying to make sense of an impossible equation. The real issue? Wages and rent are so out of sync, it's like playing musical chairs with half the seats missing. No matter how fast you move or how hard you try, there simply aren't enough places to land. This isn't just a big city problem. It's a nationwide crisis shaping an entire generation's adulthood. From coast to coast, the struggle is the same. Rising rents, stagnant wages, and a future that feels increasingly uncertain. The dream of independence has become a stressful calculation of what you can afford to give up next. Every purchase is weighed, every decision second-guessed, and the freedom you worked so hard for feels just out of reach. The treadmill keeps speeding up, and it's exhausting. But you're not alone in this struggle. The unsolvable math problem on your payslip isn't your fault. It's a sign that the system needs to change, not you. For previous generations, moving out meant independence. For Gen Z, it means finding roommates, lots of them. Living with others into your late 20s isn't quirky, it's survival. Privacy is now a luxury, and adulthood feels like a never-ending group project. Rents soar while wages crawl, leaving you stuck in crowded apartments, compromising on space and autonomy. The new rite of passage? Mastering the passive-aggressive note about dirty dishes. Independence has been replaced by compromise. It's a far cry from the freedom you were promised. How did shelter become a speculative asset? Housing is now an investment for corporations, not a basic need. Private equity firms buy up apartments, hike rents, and cut maintenance, all for profit. Cities haven't built enough homes, thanks to restrictive zoning laws that block affordable housing. Homeowners defend these rules to protect property values, keeping supply low. Remote work let high earners flood cheaper cities, driving up prices everywhere. The result? A perfect storm. Housing as a commodity, not enough supply, and demographic shifts fueling the fire. Gen Z is left to deal with the fallout. This isn't your fault. It's decades of bad policy and market failure. While the cost of living seems to climb higher every year, rent, groceries, gas, even a cup of coffee, most people's paychecks have barely moved. It's like you're running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, but your shoes are stuck in place. Every month, you stretch your budget a little thinner, wondering why your hard work doesn't seem to get you any further ahead. Over the past few decades, worker productivity has soared. People are working longer hours, handling more tasks, and using technology to get more done than ever before. But the rewards of all that extra effort? They're not going to the people doing the work. Instead, the biggest gains are pocketed by executives and shareholders at the top, while the average employee's paycheck barely keeps up with inflation. Now, Gen Z is entering the workforce more educated than any previous generation, often carrying mountains of student debt. They're told that a degree is the ticket to a better life, but when they finally land a job, the salaries on offer feel like they're stuck in a time warp, barely changed from what their parents earned decades ago, but with living costs that have exploded. The old promise was simple: work hard, get ahead. But for many young adults today, it's more like, work hard, and maybe you'll just scrape by. Paying rent, covering bills, and saving for the future feels almost impossible, even for those putting in long hours or juggling multiple jobs. People love to give advice. Just get a better job or start a side hustle, as if the solution is simple. But the reality is, even so-called good jobs often don't pay enough to keep up with the cost of living. The problem isn't a lack of hustle, it's that the system is stacked against workers from the start. Essential workers, nurses, delivery drivers, grocery clerks, kept society running during the toughest times. Yet, the economy no longer guarantees them a decent life. Many are forced to work multiple jobs, sacrifice time with family, and still struggle to make ends meet. You've done everything right, gotten an education, worked hard, followed the rules. But the rewards you were promised keep slipping further away, diverted to those already at the top. The truth is, the game is rigged. Blaming individuals for not working hard enough misses the point entirely. The real issue is a system that's been rewritten to benefit a select few. Your paycheck isn't small because you lack talent or drive. It's because the rules of the economy have changed, and not in your favor. The value you create is real, but the way it's rewarded has shifted. So when someone tells you to just run faster or work harder, it's not just unhelpful, it's downright insulting. The problem isn't your effort, it's the system itself. The reality is, the system is designed to keep you stuck, spinning your wheels while the finish line keeps moving further away. But understanding how we got here is the first step to changing the game. Cities once promised opportunity. Now they deliver financial servitude. What was once a beacon of hope for millions has become a place where dreams are weighed down by the cost of simply existing. The city skyline, once a symbol of ambition, now looms as a reminder of the price you pay to be here. You move there for jobs, for the promise of a better life, but the cost of living traps you in a relentless cycle of survival. Every paycheck is already spoken for: rent, bills, groceries, transport. The city demands more than it gives, and you find yourself constantly calculating, constantly sacrificing. Every aspect of city life is monetized: rent, transport, even socializing. A simple coffee with friends becomes a luxury, and every outing is a reminder of how much it costs just to participate. Even the smallest pleasures come with a price tag, and the pressure to keep up is unrelenting. The job market is fierce, and competition is everywhere. You're always hustling, always searching for the next opportunity, but it feels like you're running in place. The city's energy, once exhilarating, now feels exhausting. You can't afford to stay, but leaving means sacrificing your career, your connections, and the life you've tried so hard to build. The thought of starting over somewhere else is daunting, yet staying feels like surrendering to a system that's rigged against you. The city becomes a gilded cage, shiny on the outside, but inside, you're just working to pay rent. The luxury and glamour are reserved for a select few, while most are left to navigate cramped spaces and endless expenses. You're a tenant in your own life, unable to put down roots. Every move feels temporary, every lease a reminder that stability is out of reach. The idea of home becomes abstract, replaced by a series of addresses and fleeting moments. The city is no longer a place to build a future, but a place to be exploited. The promise of prosperity has faded, replaced by a sense of being used up and left behind. The bars of the cage are made of rent payments and stagnant wages. For many, the city is no longer a land of opportunity, but a beautiful prison, one that's hard to escape, even when you know you should. The housing crisis isn't just economic, it's psychological. Constant financial stress erodes your mental health, and shrinks your future to the next paycheck. Long-term goals, saving, investing, starting a family, feel impossible. Burnout is inevitable when you're hustling just to survive. Hustle culture promises empowerment but delivers exhaustion. The system makes you blame yourself, but this is a collective trauma, not a personal failure. Your struggle is shared by millions. The future feels out of reach, but it's not your fault. Tired of hearing that lattes and avocado toast are why you're broke? That's a distraction. Skipping coffee won't solve a four-figure rent problem. The math is absurd. You'd have to give up hundreds of lattes to cover a single month's rent. Blaming small luxuries shifts focus from the real issues: skyrocketing housing costs and stagnant wages. The real questions: why has housing doubled in price? Why are corporations buying homes? Why aren't we building enough? Your small indulgences aren't the problem, the system is. Enjoy your coffee. The real fix requires systemic change. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So what's the fix? It's not about blaming individuals or skipping lattes. We need big, systemic solutions, starting with building more housing and reforming zoning laws. Focus on affordable, not just luxury housing. Invest in social housing and strengthen rent control and tenant protections. Treat housing as a human right, not a commodity. Raise the minimum wage to a living wage, tied to inflation and local costs. Empower workers to bargain for better pay and conditions. These aren't radical ideas. They work elsewhere. The system needs to prioritize people, not just profits. The solutions exist. We just need the will to demand them. If you're struggling, know this: it's not your fault. This is a systemic failure, not a personal one. You're not alone. Millions share your anxiety and exhaustion. Recognizing the problem is the first step. It frees you from self-blame. Don't give up. Get angry. Get organized. Individual solutions won't fix a collective problem. Talk about these issues, support real policy change, and demand better. Let go of guilt. The system is failing you, not the other way around. The promise of a stable life is broken, but it doesn't have to stay that way. The future isn't written. Together, we can change the rules.